Okay, India is the world's most populous country. They just recently surpassed China. They now have 1.4 billion people live in India. They also are the largest population of vegetarians and vegans in the world. How is that working out for them? Hey guys, I'm Dr. Shawn Baker. Let's take a moment to talk about protein. What is protein? Well, all cells, neurotransmitters, muscles, bone, blood, it's all built out of protein. Now, if we look at India and its 1.4 billion people, 24% of which are vegetarian, 9% of which are vegans, they're having troubles with proteins. In fact, this 2022 article in the Indian Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism found that 9 out of 10 Indians fall short of just basic recommended protein intake, 73% of which were urban rich people, right? There were also protein deficient. So it's not just a problem of the impoverished, which many people will say. Even the wealthy Indians are falling well below basic protein requirements. 93% were unaware of what the RDA for protein even is. Just so you know, it's 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That is far too low, by the way. 70% of the Indians in that study believe that protein in fruits and vegetables is highly bioavailable. They believe that leafy vegetables contain more protein, and the majority of Indians are vegetarians and eat, quite a bit of rice. In fact, 60% of the protein in their diet actually comes from grain. And we know from things like the PDCAAS score and the DIAS scores, which are ways to measure protein absorbability, that those are very poor sources of protein. And so they don't, even if you consume them, you don't really absorb enough of them to make much of a difference. And many of them have incomplete amino acid profiles. That is to say, all of them are not containing all the amino acids that we actually need. Subclinical adult kwashiorkor is now described with muscle shrinkage, fat wasting, dry skin, dry hair, hair loss, amenorrhea, and edema. Normal weight obesity has been reported in almost 1/3 of Indians in a 2020 paper. Let's just talk about this on maybe a more interesting scale. Let's talk about the Olympics, right? India is the most populous country in the world, very similar to China. Both of them, they had similar GDP per capita for most of the time, and yet China, number 6 in the world overall for medals, where India is number 53. Very abysmal. Average Chinese population consumes around 55 kilograms of meat per year, whereas in India, the average Indian consumes 5 kilograms of meat per year. So 10% of what those in China are consuming. And so is that helping their performance with India? Almost definitely not. We know that protein is very critical for athletes. Recently, the United States FAO has recommended milk, meat, eggs as the best source of protein and other nutrients, especially for vulnerable populations. And these would be populations where food security is a problem. So getting milk and eggs and things like that is critical. And meat is even better, quite honestly. The USDA has reported that India is a burgeoning market for plant-based meat substitutes. But will these provide adequate nutrition? No. The short answer is no, it's not. When we look at some of these nutritional issues that are occurring in India, and they have problems with fertility, they have skyrocketing diabetes rates, they have problems with cardiac disease, going to a similar low, poorly bioavailable, protein quality is going to lead to more of that. The U.S. MyPlate would actually be an improvement for Indians, but it is recommending plant sources of protein as equal alternatives, which is complete nonsense. The growth of this vegan vegetarian movements are pushing more people to avoid meat. The best sources of protein, meat, eggs, fish, dairy products. We have groups like the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, which is basically a PETA front group claiming that protein malnutrition is rare. In the US, they even call it the protein myth. But 2019 study, the Journal of Nutrition, Health, and Aging found that up to 46% of some groups were lacking in protein intake. So protein intake is actually very common. Protein deficiency, rather, is very common. With the problems in India and the growing protein problems in the U.S., what will be the effects of further cutting animal protein from the diet? 2004 paper in the Journal of Sports and Science Medicine stated that proteins from animal sources, eggs, milk, meat, fish, poultry, provide the highest quality rating of food sources. This is primarily due to the completeness of proteins from these sources. Learn from India what doesn't work. Hope that the FAO helps India work to maintain our access to animal protein here in the U.S. And remember to do your part to prevent these problems in America. Eat a steak, thank your ranchers, support your ranchers. Does anyone out there, we have some folks from India. Fortunately, there's a growing carnivore movement within India, and there's some very prominent Indian influencers that are pushing this message out there. If any of you guys are from India watching this, let me know how that's working out there for you guys. I think, you can very easily go carnivore in India. I know beef is one of those harder things, but you've got other sources. You've got goat, you've got lamb, you've got fish, eggs, chicken, and in some cases, the water buffalo is allowable. So it's definitely doable there. It definitely would significantly help many people in India. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. We'll talk to you soon.